Come on, Soda Pop, let's go. So, Mr. Myers told me about 2 weeks ago, he already had told me that he was thinking about running against our Senator John Thune. And then Dana Ferguson from the Argus Leader did a little story with you, and you had a copy of it, and you showed me, and I said, you know, Mike, you know, she did this story because I'm the one that kind of talked about how you're going to run. So you said to me, Scott, I might be a little crazy, but I think I'm going to run against John Thune. Is you going to run against John Thune?
I was going to make that decision on October the 1st.
October the 1st is when you're going to announce.
I'm going to defer the final decision until January 1 when you have to pass that out.
You got to put the
because I want to find out a couple of things.
Okay. What do you want to know?
First of all, we know we have something known as Obamacare.
Yes.
And we know that the Republicans hate Obamacare, and I taught my students how to sneer. I said, now I want you to learn how to sneer when you use Obamacare, all right? And of course, what I want to find out is I want to know what Thunacare is, all right? Thunacare, what Thunacare will be replacing Obamacare.
Yes.
And of course, Myers has Myers Mayo Care because of the structure that I put together out of my background. And so I want to find out what John's Thunacare plan is. All right? Number two, as I said before, the money changers have taken over healthcare. They've taken over politics. And Mr. Trump made an observation that we all agree with. Those who give money to the politician own the politician.
That's right.
Between October 1st and January 1st, I want to find out where that $11 million came from. Who owns John? And John is an articulate, attractive, powerful person, and he's overwhelmingly favored, but I want to know who owns him. And as I said right here, look who owns him. This is consistent with money-driven medicine.
He was a lobbyist.
Vote independent.
Lobbyist for, you know, before he ran against, you know this, before he ran against Daschle for Senate, you know, he was a lobbyist for Sanford. He was a lobbyist for the railroad industry. He was a lobbyist. And I always tell people, I go, let's look at John Thune, okay? Besides being a lobbyist, what else has he accomplished? And a do-nothing senator. But besides that, like, you fill me in, right? Am I wrong? I mean, because that's the only thing I know him as.
Well,
we could talk about the C Street brothel, but I mean...
Oh, yes.
We're not going to go into that.
Well, in a previous interview, you know, I gave that I don't like bullies pitch, all right? And the gentleman asked me, are you saying that John Thune is a bully?
No.
And I said, John is not necessarily a bully, but John is the agent for the bullies. And I want to find out who the bullies are and how much. And I want to break this $11 million up into shares. $11 million broken up into shares. We ought to be able to do it in $100,000 shares. And we should be able to break down the ownership of John Thune.
You think he's got a $3 million complex in Platt? No, that's a joke. Sorry.
Again, it's money changers. It's money changers.
Yeah.
And at the Cathedral in the background, when I made that little run, that rather interesting run for governor, look at that cathedral.
Beautiful.
I want to emulate, and I know I can't do that, but remember, I said the money changers have taken over healthcare. Jesus drove the money changers out of the temple.
Yes.
I may not be able to drive the money changers out of the healthcare temple, but I can at least expose and push back. And let's talk about the money changers, where it came from, where it's going, the $3 million CEOs, but even the, and I know how we did all of that. you stack your board, for example. If you take a look at the background of the board members of both Sanford and Vera, and take a look at their wives, their cousins, their business relationships. And so I found out that if you have a board whereby they either personally or members that they love benefit financially, the more money that comes through the system, the more the flow, the more the physicians make, the more of everything, rivers of money, and of course that's evident as you drive around Sioux Falls. The happier they were with me.
Kelby's children have benefited unbelievably. I mean, I could go on and on about unbelievably just from him, his position. And he's not a doctor. He's a pencil pusher. He is.
Yeah.
That's all he is. Yeah. Yeah.
You have the right relationships. It's all about relationships. And remember how quickly my proposal got shut down, and I made that proposal. I discussed that at the Democratic Forum, and the Democratic guy said, you could tell they were very happy. Well, what's your question? Because I said, you know, when I was still on the faculty, I drafted the Healthcare Financial Informed Consent Act. It was so radical. It would require hospitals, doctors, clinics, when they punch in that code,
Tell you what it was worth.
to disclose the sticker price
Yep.
to the person they're selling it to.
You know what's ironic? But guess what else has been languishing? That's been around forever.
What's that?
Country of origin labeling. Why hasn't this never been? Why can't a consumer who buy a piece of meat in a store and not know what country it's coming from?
Oh,
Same reason.
Same reason, yes.
Same reason.
Yes, yes. They take care the
Because
power.
people would stop buying the cheap meat because they saw it came from Argentina and they get scared.
Similar, because we all have a pretty intense interest
Right.
in money, even
Yep.
even we good Catholic people, you know. When I was up there, and we had those Catholic doctors and Catholic everything. And by the way, just to see how they, I did send off an email to both Kelby and John Porter, thinking, well, you know, as a former big-time 1,000-bed CEO, and they would, you know.
Nice response.
And so I said, I'm going to be in this new activity known as patient billing advocacy. I'm going to have people coming to me with concerns about their medical bills, and I'd like to know the most appropriate and a proper way to interact with the two systems as we bring these people in and challenge that. Well, John, you know, John at least responded, and John said,
Go away.
I don't believe it would be appropriate for me to meet with Mike, but I wish him all the luck in the world, or words to that effect.
Well, at least he responded.
Kelby, I get a response back from a young woman lawyer who's his sidekick, and said, all further communication comes to me, not to Kelby. And then I met with their lawyer. So basically, when you protest...
So she met with you? She met with you?
She met with me, and along with another Sanford lawyer. And but then when I made calls back about a case I had, they failed to respond.
They failed to respond.
Yeah. And so basically, I think the strategy right now is ignore the Galvin guy and don't get him toehold on the system.
He's a regular guy. He told me that once when I met him at Nutty's.
Yeah, that's right. So
regular guy.
So I'm thinking about now. I got to tell you this story. I'm thinking about how to get this thing. As you know, I want to develop a database whereby people can compare. I want to compare all these codes and their prices between Avera, Sanford, Mayo, Mercy. I want to begin to shift a little bit of
You probably
power.
need to live in a more secure location.
The shadow of the cathedral is not going to help you pretty soon.
Well, admittedly, Shirley, this 83-year-old lady down at the Brunick gas station in Vermilion. She's 83, comes out, fills up your gas tank, and washes your windshield. And when I ran for governor, she said, Mike, you are a glutton for punishment. That's the Jake LaMotta thing. And then later on, she said, Mike, what, Shirley? There's a chance they're going to find your body in a cornfield.
Or in a grove of trees. In a grove of trees with a shotgun and a branch.
And so right now, the system is just, you know, they're going to be pretty unhappy about that. So I thought, well, what I'll do, I got a source of some scholarship money. Good marketing. I'll go to a university and get some students involved, and I'll get some scholarship money, and I'll have them knock on the doors of the systems and say, well, we're here to get your price list, because we want to compare yours to the other people. And I get some scholarship money, so I get hold of the Dakota State, and that's the area of good focus on technology. And I meet with Doreen Bennett, and I said, I got this scholarship money, and I believe it would be an opportunity to create a system that shifts some power to the consumer. It's badly needed. It would be welcome, I believe, by almost everybody, and would be great for the students because they would get to interact with the
Exactly.
systems. And she didn't get back very quick to me, and I called, and she said, well, I got to talk to the faculty. And then 2 days ago, I called, and I said, you know, Doreen, going to get back to me? And she said, I'll get back to you in the afternoon. She didn't get back to me, but finally yesterday, I connected with her, and she said, I talked with whomever. And initially they were concerned that how would we be able to keep track of the charge master changes? And I said, well, that'd be part of the research, and we'll take the risk for that. Long story short, the influence of the systems. And I said, I have another source, potential source that wants the scholarship money. And she said, well, I believe you ought to go to your other source. So we have Dakota State out there with scholarship money laying out there for probably one of the most exciting and adventuresome undertakings in our healthcare system, and they say no thank you, and I presume that both systems are disinterested in having that happen. So that's just an example, I believe, of how the influence is. And I understand why they're going to exercise that, but I'll be knocking on their door. I'll find that charge master in some way. I'll find a way. And sometimes it might be in the cornfield. We'll find
with the branch and the shotgun.
Yes.
But I think that we're going to end this here.
All right.
But I think that you should challenge. You used to play basketball, didn't you?
I did.
You're pretty good at it.
Reasonably good, yeah.
You're okay.
Yeah, okay.
You're in good shape.
Yeah.
I've seen you put. You used to be on my podcast. You put your foot on your forehead.
Yeah, right.
About shit my pants.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you should challenge John Thune to a one-on-one. Old b-ball.
79,
B-ball,
almost 80-year-old man.
Half court. I think you kick his ass.
Well, I don't know if I would, but it would be fun.
I don't think you kick his ass, but
I might be able to. I'd have to kind of do a little practice before that. But I think John would be open to something like that.
I think you'd beat him.
Well, you can ask John, and of course,
And then he'd have to acquiesce to you.
I'd say you bet. I've been known for my push-up activity, and just
I know. I've seen the foot thing too.
And I just for the heck of it, I required my students.
I remember.
And I would lead on the table
class.
just to kind of wake people up. We would do 20 push-ups, and I always did that to the Rocky theme song.
Dun, 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 dun.
1, 2, and Dean Vickery. And Dean Vickery came down one day and he said, "Mike, you're dating yourself. Most of these students don't know who in the heck Rocky was."
That's my favorite movie of all time.
And I said, "Well, you're probably right." So I changed it to the Pink Floyd, yes, theme of, yes,
Brick in the Wall?
Brick in the Wall.
Yes.
And that has a good rhythm.
Yes.
So, now, let me make this admission. There's a gentleman, you know, I won't name him.
Yeah.
He's rather prominent. And he said, Mike, from the first time I met you, I knew you were eccentric. Semicolon, however,
From the first time, huh?
Now he says, I believe you're moving more out to a little different characterization. And I said, well, I can understand that, you know, but I think people are even crazier to sit out there and kill $1,000 or $2,000 a month or go into bankruptcy or pay a system more than they earn, they paid for their house. And I just believe the system, if it's unimpeded, would take us into personal and corporate bankruptcy.
We're screwed.
Someone's got to push back, and most of the, remember my comment is I'm a voice for the working stiff. Most of the working stiffs on the street and the people, they say, golly, they appreciate what I'm trying to do, and so I would like to move over into a, and I'm able to do it, not only because of my background, and I have, you know, again, my two tracks of successful aging are, once again, celibacy and insolvency. And I have Social Security, and I've got a pension.
And Social Security, that's 4 now.
That's right.
You're going on 4 now. You're not going on 2.
Well, it's true. And now, so I've got enough of an income, you know, and the kids, I said, don't expect anything from Dad, just enough to buy a used pickup truck.
Well, they bought you stuff. They bought you a cool
they do that.
print.
They do that.
I think they're buying you things. I don't think you need to worry about it.
That's right. Oh, so I'm out there, and you know, and I won't be 80 until next July. And so because of my chronological age and my fiscal independence, I'm able to do things and say things that most reasonable people, like, you know, our Dakota State person won't do, and the people, you know, I had one person from the faculty come up and give me a hug and say, I want to apologize, you know, has anybody else apologized? And I understand why.
Why
I don't expect
them putting stuff in your coffee when you didn't
they might do that, but I'm out there. I'm out there again. I'm just engaging in an activity that, because you know when you're 80, things begin to break down.
That's the best time to go fight them.
So I'm hoping if I can put together a system, though, and the system I'm talking about is to shift some power to the consumer. And if I can just kind of leave behind some awareness of the financial implications of all this, then I'm going to go off and maybe do, I'm a member of the Kazooks, and go out there and I go around and I'm looking out there and I check it out, because I could be out there, you know, pretty darn soon. But in the meantime, there's 2 things I'm going to quit doing. Or I'll do when I get on the campaign, if I do this.
You're going to do it.
First of all, I've got a hearing problem. I had a busted eardrum when I was a kid. I had a little.
You told me about
I was
that.
up to a little grape down there to see if it would fit. And it did, and it busted my eardrum. So I've always had a bad ear on my right side, and I should not have been allowed to enter the Korean War through the Navy, but they waive things like that when they want bodies.
Yeah.
And now as I age, you know, it's began to drop down and deteriorate on the left side. And John Hagerman said, now Mike, you got to start wearing those hearing aids. I bought 3 of them.
3 of them. You only have 2 ears.
That's right. Well, I don't think the right one even helped much. So I'll do 2 things. If I say yes for this political adventure, which is obviously a rather irrational and insane thing to do.
Oh, it's fine.
But if I were to do it, I'll do 2 things. I'll start wearing those galvanizing hearing aids, maybe both ears, And
Or 3 and 1.
And I'm going to quit going into saloons and arm wrestling. I do that
I know.
just for the fun of it.
I've seen this.
And so I'll quit going into saloons and arm wrestling, and I'll wear my hearing aids if I say yes.
And you got to get a lady.
Then everybody will think you're an old man.
Well, that's true.
Well, there's a very beautiful lady available right now.
Yeah.
A governor recently died. That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay. All right. Well, guys, I appreciate. Remember, the Jake LaMotta of healthcare.
Yes.
And what?
Why we put it.
What
we
an
put
adventure.
Do you know?
Yes.
Come on, Soda Pop, let's go. Come on, let's go. Come on.